Happy morning. Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? What I had yesterday. Very, very strong. Locks go 3-1. The only lock I lost was the stupid LSU South Alabama over, where South Alabama decided not to show. Everything else was very, very good. So let's go through the locks just a second. Say hi to my girls. All right. This is the last lock. And I didn't think I'd get there, but look at that fourth quarter. Oof. I go to bed. This is where I'm psychic. I go to bed at 17:10. I go, this is a loser. I needed 50. What did we need here? We needed 57, 58 points. I go, it's 17:10. There's no way I'm getting it. And I'm brushing my teeth and showering, and I go, I won the game. I haven't looked at the score yet. I go, oh my God, I won the game. I can't believe it. And I'm going to tell you guys, I can't believe I won the game. I went to bed, and it's exactly what I said in the shower, going without knowing the score. That's what's called feeling. Then I look, 45-24. It's a 69. We needed 57. W. And I'm looking. We got it with 4:25 left in the fourth. We scored. And then just for the cherry on top, Washington State, which we don't need, scores to make it a 69, which actually covers the total on the game in real was 65, 64, 65. So you win the over. So there must have been a lot of under bet. I don't know what it was, but we got the late touchdown that we didn't need. And it only happens like that. If you needed it, you wouldn't get it, like in the South Florida game. That was our other lock, South Florida, 42-10. I was over like 50-something. I needed one more score, and I didn't get it. So let's review, everybody. So lock number one, Indiana -1 to Maryland. They win 42-28. Loved it. I knew it was a lock. The minute I saw the spread, Indiana -7, I said, that's it. That's a winner. That's a lock. As soon as I saw the spread, because Indiana is much better than they think. This is the game that never should have been a set. I had Indiana -10, but even that probably should have been 14. So that was lock one. Lock two was Louisville +13 against Notre Dame. And Notre Dame wore the green jerseys. I love when they need to change colored jerseys to play. And they were up, but then that's why we got Louisville. The defense, I don't know where some of these defenses went yesterday, but they came back and they were down 14, scored with 4 minutes left, drove at the end, and then turned the ball over. And then when Notre Dame takes 3 knees, I'm very happy. So lock number two, Louisville +13 against Notre Dame. I love that. I thought Louisville would win. Lock number three, as I said, was LSU South Alabama. Why did I go there? South Alabama gets 500 yards a game, an over team, a 26 defense, and LSU gave up 34 to freaking South Carolina. My score was LSU 45-40. And as I showed you the score, I can't believe South Alabama didn't score against this shit defense. So you got to be careful moving up in class, as I say. And then the fourth lock I showed you was Boise, Washington State, over roughly 58 50. I think I was 57, and they score 69. So 3-1 on the locks. Free pick, loved it. Iowa State, Houston, under 43.5, 49, 20-0 Iowa State. Yeah, you think I'm nuts when I give you Iowa State, Houston under, don't you? But it came through. I hit TCU, Kansas over, hits. Cincinnati and 9 against Texas Tech, hits. UCF, Colorado over 62. That would have been my lock instead of South Alabama, but because of the hurricane, I had to wait. And so I'd already thrown in the lock. And then when I called my friend who lives in Orlando Friday, and he says, oh, no, it's calm. They'll have no problem. So I jumped on UCF, Colorado over. This is why you play overs. Colorado wins the game, but this is a 75-point game, but Colorado wins it. I don't care. I just want scoring. I never seen Colorado play defense like that. They played pretty good. Jefferson, Bobby would have loved it. Hey, he looked terrible, but I hit that one. James Madison, Ball State comes back 63-7 after 70 on North Carolina. Yeah, that's they got a real offense there. I stay away from Fresno State. I'm going to play him, and then UNLV switches quarterback, and the quarterback ran all over him. They killed Fresno State, but I stayed away. I stayed away from Ole Miss, Kentucky. I was thinking about that, and I said, no, Kentucky's got a good defense. Let's see it, because I don't like playing strong offenses against strong defenses. Kentucky wins the game, 20-17. Ole Miss, let's see. Bowling Green, I lose against Old D. They were laying 9. I laid 3. They lose the game. How do you play Penn State and A&M good and lose to Old D? Unbelievable, but it happens. We hit the over in the Ohio State-Michigan State game. Only 48. I go over 42. They win 38-7 in the third quarter. We were over, and that's about what I thought. My score is actually 35-14. So I was pretty accurate there. Illinois, Penn State, I lose. I play the game over, and I'm pissed because my first instinct was take Illinois in 25. They're a good team. They're not going to get blown out, and they didn't, but they didn't score. They had the ball at the 2-yard line, and then a bad snap. So the guy throws it over the quarterback's head, and then they didn't. And then they missed the field goal, and Penn State missed a field goal, and not much in the second half. I was surprised. Where was the offense? You put up 31 on Nebraska. You get 7 on Penn State. Very surprised there. Okay, I lose that. I lose the Georgia, Alabama under 55. What the fuck was that game? Are you kidding me? Can somebody explain why the Georgia defense wins? Because it don't look like the Georgia defense. I mean, wow. What a beginning. 21-0. I turned the game off. I go watch Die Hard 4. And, you know, I'm checking the scores after the movie, and it's 34-33 Georgia. I'm like, what the fuck? Georgia couldn't even get a first down. They were throwing interceptions. And all of a sudden, they're winning the game. So I got to watch that replay. And then at the end, I felt sorry for Georgia. The guy makes a 75-yard touchdown. Where was the secondary? And then that last play of the game, why didn't the receiver first of all, on the play before, there was pass interference. Herb Kirkstreet doesn't mention it. The guy's got his arm wrapped around him. No interference. Then the last play, why didn't the receiver go after the ball? I mean, the ball is there. The receiver stop and go for the ball. He never did. He just kept running, and oh darn, it's not perfectly thrown to me. And the Alabama guy intercepts it. And the Georgia guy could have easily caught it for a touchdown. What the fuck kind of receiver is that? So very disappointed in my Georgia team. What else? SMU blows out Florida State. We hit the Boise over. Arizona beats Utah. No Cam Rising. That's kind of surprising. And then Oregon covers against UCLA. Hey, Prophet. Quite the game last night. Yeah, I had Bama +2, so I wasn't too worried when Georgia took the lead by 1 late. Well, it's all these go for 2s, but yeah, I mean, I was Well, I was hoping I would have got Georgia plus 7.5. I was hoping Alabama. I still can't figure out why Alabama wasn't favored in the game at home. They should have been a 3-point favorite. I would have taken Georgia 9. I would have won. But it pushed me to I couldn't play Georgia as the favorite. The revenge factor took me out of it, so I ended up playing under, which I thought would be, 27-24 game, not 34-33 or whatever the ridiculous score was. But yeah, it was. See, this is why we watch. Now we see Alabama is not a great defensive team. Neither is Georgia. Georgia, for some reason, struggles against a running type of quarterback like Milrose. Milrose looks really good. He looks like Jalen Daniels, very elusive, but he can throw. I don't know. They keep making a big deal out of the 17-year-old. Oh, he's the stud. He's the superstar. He's this. He's that. I mean, why do you keep bringing up he's 17? Nobody gives a fuck. How old's the quarterback? How old's Milrose? Oh, we don't know. How old was Brock Bowers? We don't know. We don't care. So he keeps making it. I hate watching with Herb Kirkstreet. He's terrible. He acts like we're 3 years old, but he doesn't explain anything. And the interference, he doesn't say it. Then he can't talk. He talks the whole other fucking part of the game. But that's okay. I mean, that's why you tease the dog in those type of games. Had Alabama one favorite. It was a 1 for a minute, and then it went back to Georgia favored. I would have taken Georgia getting 7.5, 8, and I would have won that way. Didn't think I was going to win. Alabama was all over them. How Georgia came that unprepared, because Kirby Smart's a better coach than that. They got to go fire this defensive coordinator now? Unbelievable. I mean, if you're going to fire your defensive coordinator, you better get a good one, and they didn't. This guy looks like shit. I'm confused by them. They barely beat Kentucky. Okay, they didn't play well. Kentucky's not good. Then Kentucky beats Mississippi, and you're going, well, maybe Kentucky's better than we thought playing Georgia like that. So you got to respect them. Mississippi's getting 50, 60 points a game, and they lose. And they miss a field goal at the end. I loved it. I hate that coach. I don't like coaches that screw their players. He's at Tennessee. He quits. He goes to USC. He quits. Kind of fucking, how do you hire that guy? I mean, I can't believe he's Mississippi's coach. Yeah, I robbed the bank, but you know what? I won't rob your bank. Yeah, okay. So that was college yesterday. We'll go more thoroughly through that. But right now we got pros. See, it was a good start. We had Army. We had the Rutgers under. What a happy day. All right. So good vibes, picking well. Now let's go. Okay, so injuries. Let's look at injuries first. The Rams, Pukanuka, Cooper Kupp out. We know that. Green Bay. Now, this is confusing because it says Derek Love is activated, but I don't believe he's starting. He's just the backup. His leg's still hurting. He ain't seeing action unless Willis gets knocked out. But I don't see him starting this game. I just still see they go with Willis. Minnesota's okay. I thought Darnold was injured or something, but no, he's fine. Pittsburgh, I don't believe they're starting Russell Wilson. He's still with the calf. I haven't seen it. Pitt's still 2.5. We'll go through all the lines in a minute. Denver and the JETSs. Eckstein, the running back from Notre Dame, is out for a while. He's on the IR with an ankle, but otherwise pretty healthy. That's a very interesting game we'll have to break down. Philly, both receivers are out. Brown and Smith are out. Winfield Jr.'s out for Tampa. Very interesting game here. This is going to turn into Army Navy because they're going to run Barkley 62 times because they have no receivers and they have no quarterback, by the way. Tampa, this should be, let's see, Philly's defense has been looking really good. I expect it to play. Cincinnati, Carolina, no big injuries here. Burrow, Chase, everybody's okay. Carolina, you got to, is Dalton going to light up Cincinnati like Washington lit up Cincinnati? Like they lit up Oakland? I don't know. I mean, maybe Crosby was hurt in that game, so he didn't pressure them because we noticed he didn't get any sacks last week. So, again, it looks like Dalton, and so they should score more. Because Washington scored on them, so it's not like Cincinnati's all of a sudden got the I don't know who has a good defense, the steel curtain or anything. Jacksonville, Houston, they need to rest Trevor Lawrence. He sucks against Stroud. No big injuries here. No interest in this game either. See, here's a game Houston should beat Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville will win it, and you're going, yeah, I guess Houston's not that good. This is a game they should win like 20-3, like last week, whoever beat Jacksonville. Washington, Arizona, pretty healthy. I got to check on Marvin Harrison, but he's pretty useless after watching him last week. This guy is not a first-round pick. Washington, we'll see if Daniels is for real. Both defenses are pretty weak. New England and the Niners, Kittle's playing. Bose is questionable. Deebo Samuel's questionable, but I would bet he's playing. And the only one out is McCafferty. So this is, if you look at the standings, Frisco's 1-2. They're 1-2. They need the game. A bad loss last week. Look for them to play. They lost to Minnesota, and then they lost last week. Who did they lose to last week? My Niners. They lost to the Rams. So they're pretty pissed off. They have to win this game. It's must win, and they get New England. And New England, who cares if anybody's injured? They don't have any players that are worth talking about. So look for the Niners to play a really good game today. Cleveland and Oakland, you've got Max Crosby out and Devontae Adams out. No wonder they lost to Carolina. So you got your two superstars out. You got Brock Bowers. So you want to blame the quarterback that Devontae Adams is out last week or hurt? Cleveland, they don't have much anyway. I don't know what to do. This would be a beautiful under, but now I don't have Max Crosby. I don't know the rest of the defense if they're any good. Deshaun Watson's terrible. I don't know. Cleveland's now favored. KC, LA. So San Diego has Derwin James out and Bosa out. Kansas City just has Pacheco out. Herbert's going to play with a high ankle sprain. How long is he going to go? I mean, although we did see Mahomes play with the high ankle sprain, didn't play that good, but he did play with it. So this will be an interesting game. So again, those two. So now the two studs on defense are out, James and Bosa, just Khalil Mack. Well, that's going to make things a little easier for Mahomes. Buffalo, Baltimore. I didn't see any major injuries there. Tennessee, Miami. So Miami picks up Huntley, who's on Baltimore's. This is the guy from Utah. He's on Baltimore's practice squad, and they're going to make him their starter. This is the genius of the coach and GM. This is the best. Why don't they go after Kyle Trask from Tampa? He's really good. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Trade for Hooker on the Lions. Much better. He's much better than Tagovailoa. So they're going with a four-string quarterback who's on the practice squad against Tennessee, who has their own four-string quarterback. What the fuck's Levis, who stinks. So you got a game with no quarterbacks. And then Detroit, Seattle. Detroit, their center's out. I guess he's all American or whatever you call it in the pros. He's out. big deal. Look for Seattle to pressure him because now everybody sees if we pressure him and have him roll around, he throws a lot of interceptions, which is why the Rams let him go because he sucks. But in Detroit beginning, it was a lot of play action pass, and nobody was really, he had all day. Oh, he looks like a superstar. The Rams start blitzing. Tampa blitzes them. Arizona didn't blitz them much last week, but look for Seattle to blitz. Seattle looks like a good defense. I'm not sure of that because they beat a shit Miami team, a shit New England team, and the first week they played somebody I don't know, but it wasn't. So I don't know if they have that good of a defense because they're not playing. So we'll see how they are after Detroit. So they're let's wait till week. This is where you got to check the schedule. Well, they played a high school team last week in Miami, so let's see what they look like. All right, let's go through the lines. K Cadillac, how are you? Good morning. You were 40% on your 9 teaser bets. A win would push it to 50. Locks very profitable. I don't know about that. I was really hot yesterday. I was more than 44%. Now I lost Georgia twice, so maybe that's what you're looking at. I hit Boise twice. But it's not about percentage with me. It's about units. So you got to look at the unit play. So I assume this is your Ryan. Is this Ryan? Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I haven't checked my bets, but they're by units. They're not by percentage, and they're much better there. So not sure why you're bringing this information into here. It really doesn't belong, but that's okay. People can go on my history and look at it. I mean, that's fine. But I had a lot of winners yesterday, so I don't know what you're talking about. All right, let's go through the lines. So we've got Atlanta 2.5, 41.5. Where are they? Down from 42. Well, let me go to covers because it gives us better lines. Okay, Pitt 2.5, 40.5 to Indy. Green Bay 2.5, 3. I don't know. You got to understand Love isn't playing. Green Bay 2.5, 44, up from 43.5. Houston 5.5, 44.5, down from 6. Atlanta 2.5, 41.5. To New Orleans, there is a 3. The Bears 3, 40.5. To the Rams, we got Philly 1 and 42. To Tampa, not surprised the under went down. Cincinnati 4.5, 47. To Carolina, down from 47.5. Denver and the Jets. The Jets are up to 8 and 39.5. Arizona 3.5, 49 to Washington. That hasn't moved. The Niners 10.5, 41.5 to New England. Cleveland 2.5, 36.5 to Oakland. Cleveland now favored, which hard to believe they're favored. KC 7.5, 41.5. Again, without Bosa or Kerwin James playing for San Diego, but Pacheco's out for KC. Baltimore 2.5, 46.5. To Buffalo. Miami's 2.5. So why would the line go up? Because the idiot Huntley's going to quarter and 37. So people are betting the over and they're betting Miami because Huntley, the practice squad quarterback's playing. In Detroit, 3.5, 46.5. So I don't really care about percentage. First of all, it's based on units. Second of all, I play teams in 2 teasers. And thirdly, if people want to see my history, it's posted right on my site. You can go in and look at the games. There they are. So I'm not sure what's the point of that, Cadillac. This is a class. You know, what I did, I tell you my picks. They're not secrets. And again, we got you got the there was a game with Baltimore Buffalo over today. So, you know, let's talk about units, not percentage. I don't care about percentage. I'm not doing it for percentage. I'm doing it to make money with units. I haven't figured out what I won or lost, and then I got a lot of locks today. So it's the whole weekend, but I did very good yesterday picking. So don't know, don't understand, don't need it. Please don't bring it in here. If people want to see it, it's on teaserking.com, my history. It's right there. Everything's loaded. All right, so let's go through. So Pitt Indy, Pitt 2.5, 40.5. Pitt's a 9 defense, Indy's a 20 defense. They're a balanced offense, 303 to 326. Indy 326. Richardson 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. Fields 2-1. Now Fields pretty poor. Richardson kind of wild. He throws a lot of these long passes. They worked against Houston. He threw a couple of 60-yarders, but they don't work against everybody else. Pitt will put a lot of pressure on him today. Don't think we'll see too much from him. Minnesota, Green Bay. They're both under teams, Pitt and Indy. Minnesota's an A team. A 10 defense, passing for 344. Donruss look good, 8-2. Green Bay, a B team because they don't have Love. With Love, I think they're an A team. A 19 defense, a balanced 400-yard offense. So the coach is really good at that. Darnold's 8-2. Willis is 2-0. This is a good game. And we'll see Love. I don't think he's going to play, but we'll see. We'll see what he says. Jacksonville, Houston. Houston, 5.5, 44.5. They're both W teams right now. Jacksonville's terrible. 28 defense. Trevor Lawrence, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Houston, a 25 defense, 376 yards. Stroud, 4-2. And they're really kind of weak right now defensively, which you'd think they'd have a better defense because they have a defensive coach, but they don't. It's all Stroud running around, and it's Jacksonville is terrible. Lawrence, terrible. I never thought he was any good. He likes to run, but he's not a good quarterback. I'm not sure what kind of runner he is, but I don't know. They're pretty weak right now. I don't think they've won a game yet. Atlanta, New Orleans. This is a good game. New Orleans is an 8 team. Atlanta's an under. New Orleans with the 15 defense, 348 balanced offense. Carr 6-2. Atlanta under team, a 20 defense. Kirk Cousins 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. A passing offense 316. They don't know how to run the ball with Bijan Robinson. Now New Orleans has Olavi's questionable. Kamara's got ribs, is questionable. What do you do about that? But in my mind, they're going to play. This is the NFL. Questionable players, they'll get the shot, they'll wear the vet, whatever. I can't imagine they're out. Let's check. I checked before class. Let's see. I'll try these injuries first on covers, but they're usually not updated. Yeah, they're updated the 26th. Not going to help us. So let's go to Yahoo. Well, let's try news. So here, Jordan Love is active for today, but that doesn't mean he's starting. I just think he's there. If they're losing, then they'll throw him in maybe, but they don't want him to get re-injured. Where was that? There was a good injury thing. Christian McCaffrey aiming for November return. Sometimes they list the injuries and they'll tell you. Kittle ready to return. Jordan Love will be active. Dolphins starting Huntley. Raiders to be without Devontae Adams, Matt Crosby. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on Dallas are injured, but that's another day. Let's try the injuries. But we need like this morning's injuries. So what are we looking for? These are 929s. Okay, good. So what team? Baltimore. Who did I want? I want to see New Orleans. Let's go to New Orleans. Let's see. New Orleans. Alvin Kamara still questionable with ribs. And Chris Olave questionable with a hamstring. Okay, so we're not sure. They're still questionable, but they're not out. If they were out, they would say it. Okay, so where was I? So New Orleans, Atlanta. Should be a good game. Atlanta, like I said, 2.5, 41.5, I believe. Carr 6-2, Cousins 4-3. Atlanta 20 defense, New Orleans 15. This should be a very good game, very close game. The Rams in Chicago. The Rams are weird. They're a W. Okay, they went to overtime with the Lions. They go and lose, but to Arizona by 100. And then they go and beat the Niners, who are also injured. Great come from behind win there. A 30 defense, but they were 26, 26 on the Lions in overtime and 27 last week. So they're probably in the 20s. The Arizona one looks worse now, but after today, they'll be down, especially against the Bears. 329, mostly passing. It's all Stafford. It doesn't matter. He'll hit Tutu Atwell. Stafford 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and then we get the Bears, an under team with a 19 defense, only 283 yards a game. Caleb 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. I can't believe the Bears are favored in any game. Now I can't say they'd lose to Georgia, but they'd lose to Alabama. What a start for Alabama last night. Holy fuck. Philadelphia 1-42, I believe. Can't read my own writing. A 21 defense, 425 passing. Hurts 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. Tampa Bay 21 defense, 303 yards. The Bakers 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. Look good against the Lions. Looked shitty last week, getting blown out by they blow out Washington, beat Detroit, and last week they get blown out by Denver. They can't play. Again, they're still tired. They still aren't really in football shape, although I think they're getting there. So where am I at? Philly, Tampa. Philly without the receivers. It's going to be Barkley mostly. Tampa, Philly's defense is starting to play. They lost to Atlanta 22-21, and they beat New Orleans 15-12 last week. So they're going through the NFC South. And this week, Atlanta, or this week's Tampa. So, it should be another close game. Probably not a lot of points because they don't have any receivers to get points for them. I mean, unless the tight end catches a bunch. Cincinnati, Carolina. What do we do with Cincinnati? Joe Burrow, 447. We've got an E team with a 27 defense, which is the most alarming, and 338 offense, mostly Burrow. Burrow 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. Carolina, I don't know. They were a Z team with whatchamacallit, and they are a 32 defense. Now the defense is they still gave up a lot of points to Oakland, with apparently Devontae Adams injured. So their whole stats are meaningless because the defense is probably pretty shitty. Dalton at 3-0 means they score more. So I would change him from a Z team to an over team, but let's see Dalton a couple more weeks now. So this is almost like we're back at week 1, in which you're wondering why the coach didn't play both these quarterbacks in the preseason and get them ready. And then they could have saw after 3 crap games against 4 stringers how bad Bryce Young really is. And then they could have started with Dalton, and they probably would be 3-0 instead of 0-3. But the coach doesn't like his job, I guess, so off he goes. So interesting game here. We have to see. Cincinnati will light them up with the 32 defense. The question is, what does Carolina do against this Cincinnati defense that doesn't look very good? They held KC to 25 or 26. And then last week, they gave up 37 to Washington. What the hell? So Dalton's probably better than Daniels at this point. Daniels will be better going forward. I don't know how you can sit out for, 2-3 years, Dalton, and just come in like, nope, like I played last week. This is an interesting game here. But what do you do? This should be locked Cincinnati. They're now 0-3. They have to win, but we ran through that Monday night. 0-2, they had to win. They didn't. All right. Denver and the Jets. Denver an under team, 15 defense. So their defense, Sean Payton's got the defense playing. And they played a good Tampa team and killed them 26-7 last week. Passing 300 yards, although Bo Nix is 0-4. No touchdowns yet, but he does run a lot, and I think he's run for some touchdowns. The Jets is an under team. Rodgers finally is looking better. 5 touchdowns and 1 pick. He's finally played in 3 games. Now we're getting the Jets that we expected last year. A 17 defense with a 321. This should be a very close game, I believe. I think Knicks is going to start getting it going, but I think the defenses are very strong here. So this should be a very good game. I mean, Denver went to Tampa and blew them out. So it's funny, they blew them out and Knicks didn't throw a touchdown. So I'm not really too worried about that. Rodgers, he'll probably, if it gets close, Rodgers will win the game at the end, I believe. But I think this spread's awfully high. Denver is not that bad. If you're just looking at Bo Nix, you're missing the point. They got a 15 defense, and they just shut down Tampa last week. So this will be a good one. Washington, Arizona, 2 over teams. Washington, a 29 defense, 375 yards offense. Daniels is 2-0 touchdowns. Arizona, we know how strong they are, what they did to the Rams. I think they'll bounce back after that. The Lions only getting 13 points. They didn't run Kyler Murray enough. A 21 defense, 356 yards. Murray's 5-1. Harrison, I believe he's okay. I saw him on the injured list, one of these questionable. Let's see. No, I don't even see him on the injured list. So he's okay. He just needs to learn how to catch. Some of the plays he could have back shouldered and he didn't. I was very like, this guy's not that good. So this is why you take LSU receivers, right? Or Texas guys. So we'll see. So everybody's healthy. I don't think they're going to stop Daniels, and I don't think they can stop Arizona. So we'll see what happens. New England and the 49ers. I got 49ers 10.5, 40.5, I believe. New England an under team. I don't know how they're not a Z team. Their defense is 19 a game. Balance 274. They're not even getting 300 yards a game. Brissett's 1-0. San Francisco, 23 defense, mostly passing for 420. Even without McCaffrey, they have to pass. Although their backup runner is good. Jennings looks good. Ayuk looks good. Deebo Samuel. I believe he was questionable. Let's see if we got info on San Francisco's guys. Oakland, Miami, JETS's, Philly. All right, San Francisco. Trent Williams, the tackle, is questionable at the toe. He'll be playing. Let's see. Christian McCaffrey be back in November. Deebo Samuel, questionable with the calf. We know Kittle's playing. Poor Greenlaw, and he was their best linebackers out with an Achilles for the whole year, unfortunately. It's a problem in football. You get the injury, you're out for the whole year. It's gone. That's it. I do not see. So it's McCaffrey out, Deebo Samuel questionable. The Niners are presumably the best team in the NFC, and now they're 1-2. They lose to the Vikings and they lose to the Rams because they couldn't hold the lead. We'll look out for that. This is kind of a must win for them because they're not. Seattle's 3-0. If they beat Detroit, they're 4-0, and they play Detroit very well. And if the Niners lose, although I can't imagine them losing to New England, they'll be 1-3. So Alpha loss. They have to win. I look for Niners back against the wall today. It's a big number 10. You 10-point teaser guys, yeah, go after it even. Definitely. They definitely will win. New England doesn't know what they're doing. Their coach has never coached before Mayo. They got lucky to beat Cincinnati, and then they lost to Seattle, and then they lost last week, and they got blown out last week. Who beat them last week? The Jets beat them 24-3. Good defensive team. So look for the Niners to play better defense. They're not a 23 defense. They ran into Stafford. They ran into Darnell, who looks like a superstar all of a sudden. Purdy 4-1, Brissett 1-0. I looked for Frisco here. They should win, beat them pretty good. Cleveland, Oakland. God, I don't know. Cleveland's an under team. Watson 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, a 22 defense, and a whopping 279 a game for Cleveland. Chubb is out. Nairobi, their tight ends out. Oakland, we've said Crosby's out and Devontae Adams. So what the hell do you do here? They're a W team, a 27 defense. That's the surprising part. Their defense is 27, 327, mostly passing with Minshew. So Minshew's not a bad quarterback, but what do we do with this game? Because Cleveland, they're like Chicago. They can't be favored. Watson's terrible. Question is Crosby. Okay, how are they going to play without Crosby? And then what do they do? They got Brock Bowers. They got the Notre Dame tight end. I'm sure they have backup receivers. That's not hard to do. Minshew, we'll see. Beating Baltimore, and then losing to Carolina. This is insanity. Cadillac. Your locks were profitable. The other 7 teaser bets were negative in units, not meaning to be negative, just factual. And your locks are the real deal. Yeah, I don't look at percentage. And plus, I get better. Like today, I will probably be much, much higher percentage wise. It's just that I don't look at the percentage because you can see I play 7 9-unit teasers and 17-unit teasers. So I'm not looking at the percentage as much as I'm looking at the units, because what I've learned and how I bet teasers, you do not bet them the same. If I bet 2 teasers at $100 each, I'll probably go 3 winners and 1 loser, and the 3 winners will, and then it cancels out and I end up losing juice. So I can't win if I bet the same amount on every teaser. That's why I vary them. That's why I have locks. That's why I have stronger plays. So that's the point. It's really the units bet. So like today we have Baltimore in a big unit play with Indiana. So we'll see. I got 5 locks going today. So that's really the key. And, okay, we lost the Georgia under. And was it a good bet? Yeah, okay, it lost. And a few of the others, okay, we lost. And then we had a lot of good winners. The Boise over was critical. Cincinnati. Now, see, look at Boise. 2 teasers, Cincinnati, and 2 teasers. So that's how I look at it. The better teams that I have a multiple teasers, that's what I'm excited about. So I'm going to lose some games, of course, but look at the end. And then again, as we get more into it, we'll start throwing away, some of these losers that we had. I would have locked the Colorado game, but I was worried about the Hurricane. So I did play it. And I think I played it with I don't remember if I played with a pro team or not, but I mean, that's, but I don't hide it. You see the history, it'll be exactly what you saw. And it's just over the course of the year, we understand the teams better. Now I have a different understanding of Alabama, Georgia. Right. So now we can make a lot of money betting Alabama, Georgia. We got to figure them out. Ohio State. I had them over yesterday. So I look at that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, we lost the LSU the South Alabama over. Was it a good play? Yeah. Did that South Alabama forget to show up? Yeah. Probably shouldn't have because they're going up in class, but we learned from it. And we'll bury South Alabama against the Sun Belt teams. So, yeah, I don't really get too into it's like the Cincinnati wins what I like. I hit them against Texas Tech +9, they win. That's what excites. Okay, I got them figured out, and it's just a matter of figuring out the teams, and that's why as we get further on, so like today, we've kind of Denver and the Jets. We want to figure that one out. This probably should be Denver and 14. Probably should be the play, but Bo Nix isn't doing anything yet. Rodgers is playing. Let the defense, I think, will get better. Um, so we'll go with that. But yeah, I just I just don't like losing, so I kind of take that stuff personally. But it's yeah, the locks were good. That's why I bet the locks higher because of the percentage, right? So no problem, but just there we go. So we'll see how today goes. Today, I'm gonna light it up today. And there's always about 3 or 4 weeks out of the year I run the table, and I'll go 15-1 in college. And that kind of cleans up the mess from these earlier weeks. But overall, I felt really good with college yesterday. The Boise, waking up to the Boise winner, I was very surprised, but very happy with that. And the the Indiana lock was beautiful. I love that one. All right, Kansas City, San Diego. KC's an even team now. They're not scoring yet, but I think that's gonna. I don't know. It'll be a tough game tonight, but I don't think Bosa's playing. Uh, yeah, I think we checked that, right? The Derwin James is out and Bose is out. Okay, so look for Mahomes to have a big day today. They're an E team with the 21 defense. They usually have a very good defense. Spagnolia is still the coach. 336 offense. Mahomes, here's the problem. Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. We got San Diego, an under team with an 11 defense, a 300, and Herbert's 4-1. Now he's got a high ankle sprain. I don't see Herbert. Okay, he's going to try. He did it against Pittsburgh. He played the first quarter and then he pulled himself out. So look for Mahomes not to have a big day, but without Bosa and James, now he just has to block Khalil Mack. The question comes in the pros. Here's who's Bosa's backup. Who's James's backup? See, that's where you think in college this might work because the backup's probably not that good. In the pros, it's huge. You have, I'm sure Bosa's backup's probably pretty good. You got Harbaugh with the defense, but I don't think Herbert is going to play the whole game. So I look at it like Mahomes without Derwin James and Bosa should have a good game anyway. This would be a extreme under if they both played because they're not scoring and they have the 11 defense. So they're not quite Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh can't score with Fields but has a great defense. Here you have San Diego, who scores a little with a great defense, but half their defense is out. So I think KC gets the W here. But again, they're 3-0. They don't. It's not backs against the wall time, but it is. It's a division game, but they should take advantage of no Bosa and no James. Buffalo, Baltimore. That's our free pick. Buffalo, an A team with a 16 defense. They're getting 332 a game. Josh Allen, 7 touchdowns, no picks. Baltimore, over team, a 26 defense. They get 437 yards a game. Lamar, 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. Love this game over. It's 46. Oh, he needs 40 points. I got 31-27 Buffalo in this game. So again, not being Madoff, I have to bet this game before it starts. But the question you need to ask is it a good bet? And if you don't think this is a good bet, then, I don't know what to say. But Baltimore with the 26 defense, can't finish, blew the lead to Oakland, blew the game against Dallas, but got lucky that they won it. But their fourth quarter sucks. But I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think we got this. Oh, we need 40. We need 21-20 to win it. I think we'll be very close by halftime. It'll be 20 to 14, 17. So I'll be shocked if this game doesn't go over. And that's all I can do. I mean, you got to look at the game now. And just the way Baltimore's defense is playing. And I don't think Von Miller, he's playing well, but there's still a 16 defense. So Baltimore, 400 yards a game. I just don't see it. I wouldn't bet this under. Let's put it that way. Tennessee, Miami. You have Tagliabue out. You now have Huntley, the practice squad quarterback for Baltimore, is the best they can come up with. What a coaching staff at Miami. Way to get Skylar Thompson and say, Skylar, Tagliabue has got a concussion. He's out for a couple of months. You need to slide. And what does he do? He gets hit. I don't know if he probably got hit running. He's terrible anyway. So let's break it. Washington, a W team, a 26 defense. They get rid of Vrabel, and they get this offensive guy. And it's just like Miami. The defense, they don't know how to coach defense. They shouldn't be coaching. They're not head coaches. They're offensive coordinators. A 26 defense, 294 yards. Levis, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. Miami's a W team, a 24 defense. They get 345, but Tagliabue is blended in there. Huntley, we don't know. He's never did that, so we have no idea. I don't even know what to do with this game. You got 2 shit quarterbacks. You got 2 lousy defenses. The Miami receivers are out. Both of them, or no, maybe not. Let me check Miami. No, I don't. I think that was Philadelphia. I'm getting my teams confused. Miami, New Orleans, New England, LMN. Yes, the JETSs, the Giants. A lot of N teams. Minnesota and Miami. All right, let's see. A tackle's out. I'll be with you 1 second. Odell Beckham. You paid him to do nothing. He's out. Let's see. Mozart questionable with the chest. Tommy Lee Lewis. Really? Where'd they get that guy from? River Craycraft is injured reserve. Bradley Chubb's out. Tagliabue, injured reserve. How that guy even thinks about playing is out of his mind. Skylar Thompson, questionable with ribs. No, I guess the receivers are okay. Hey, Alex. Take locks are the best, real deal. Been following for years. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. Well, Ryan's been with me. I think he was with me last year. I know he's bet with me before, but yeah, he was just trying to point out percentage. He doesn't get it's really the units and that. I love waking up this morning to Boise, Alex. I didn't think we had a chance. And when I read your email, I don't know if you knew the score. And it was like unbelievable. 17-10, third quarter with 6 minutes left. I go, wow, that's a loser. And then what a fourth quarter we have, 35 fucking points. And got the over. Yeah, Tyler Huntley, where did they get him for? They should go to get Milrose and let him quarterback the way he looked. Yeah, but we hit a lot. The locks all came in. UNLV, the real deal. They might make. They should make the play. They might do damage. Well, the thing with UNLV that I didn't play yesterday, the quarterback walked off because he wasn't getting paid. The mafia in Las Vegas promised them some money to NIL, and then Said, okay, but he didn't, there's no contract and he didn't get the money up front, like 8 men out, right? And then all of a sudden they said, we're not going to pay you. And so he walks out. He's getting a scholarship. He's getting a free education. He leaves and he walks off. And the kid that replaced him is a better runner than he is. UNLV is a running team. They're not a passing team. So it didn't matter. This guy ran for like 150 yards and he threw for a little, but he ran. They put up 50 points. And where was poor Mikey Keene getting dominated by that defense? They got a great defense. I didn't bet the game. I was thinking Fresno State 8.5. I was thinking Ole Miss. I can't believe Ole Miss lost, but it doesn't surprise me too much. I used to get UNLV. I used to get them. I used to go to the school, and I'd take a drive out and see because at that point they had the good basketball team. So I'd go drive out, and I think I got some UNLV stuff. I don't have it anymore. This is in the 90s. And, yeah, they got a strong defense. Motherfuckers. I mean, wow. Hey, Real D, good morning. Got burned on Fresno yesterday, too, because of the quarterback. Your team didn't play well. But, see, that's what was hard. And I talked to Alex about it, and I said, well, we don't know who he is. He could be Joe Namath or Joe Montana or Bill Montana. Well, it looks like he's Joe Montana, although he's running Joe Montana. So when you don't know the quarterback, you got to watch, because that's how we found Flowers at South Florida. They were scoring 10 points a game. We're betting them under. And then the next thing you know, the under comes, all of a sudden they put up a 50 and going, well, how did they do that? And then you go in the box score and you see Flowers. And that's why I got on Flowers. And then he'd score 50 points a game, and Vegas never changed, like with Rising and Van Dyke. They kept putting them at 40s because the average was they didn't score. So they'd be a 45, and he'd put up 55 by himself. So that's how we catch Vegas all the time. And that's why we look for box scores and we look for the quarterbacks. And we'll have to do the same thing today with, Huntley. He was good at Utah, but not that good. And, how's he going to – he just came from Baltimore. How the hell is he going to hit Tyreek Hill and Waddle? How's he going to do anything with those guys? He has no timing with it. You can't just walk out. It's like going to play golf. You can't just go to the first tee and swing. You need to get your timing. You need to go to the driving range. You need to go to the chipping green and the putting green. Get your rhythm down. You can't just go out and throw it. And that's what we have here. But anyway, very happy with that. Yeah, the locks, big locks today. I got 5 locks, and I love them. Absolutely love these locks today. 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's not like I force locks, because you see weeks I don't have locks. I don't lock to lock, but this is how zeroed in I am in the pros and how bad these teams are. I don't see any, and I'm this close to locking Kansas City, because without Bosa and James, is Mahomes going to lose this game? All they got to do is lay one. No fucking way. I'd be shocked. Herbert will play with a high ankle sprain. How long is that going to go? Fighting Art, yeah, but Real D, we had the lock was Louisville in 13. So that was I noticed they wore green jerseys. I loved it. But yeah, I was fine with it. I got a late touchdown to go down 7, and then they drove a little bit, and then Notre Dame took knees, and that was it. So very happy. Cincinnati came back for us nicely. Had Cincy in 9 against Texas Tech. They got down 10, and then they scored. No, I think they got down 14, something like that. And then they scored late, and then they were driving to try to win the game, and they didn't get it. I think they ran out of time. But a lot of live dogs. The one game I was surprised was Illinois-Penn State. I thought Illinois, after putting up 31 in Nebraska, would score, and the changing point was near the half. They get down to the 2-yard line, and then the center snaps it over the quarterback's head. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 12, and And the guy ends up with a 45-yard field goal because they keep losing yardage, and he misses it, and that was it. But my intuition was take Illinois, and they were like 19. It was like I could have had 25 in Illinois. That was my intuition. But when I looked at the total of 41, so I kind of fucked myself. That's why you take your first instincts. But yeah, it was a very good day. I thought I had a very good day. Learned a lot. But we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, the backup on Vegas. That's why it's hard to bet them. So when the guy, they probably didn't pay the guy because they knew they had this guy who they're probably not paying anything to. All right. So Tennessee, Miami, again, 2W teams with, weak defenses and terrible quarterbacks. So usually with terrible quarterbacks, it's an under. I don't think I'd touch this game with a 10-foot ball. This is your Sunday night game. Yeah. Oh, okay. And our last but not least, oh no, this is actually a Monday night game. Why are there 2 Monday night games? So you can fuck over the teams when they got to play next Sunday? I mean, that's crazy. Seattle, an A team, a 14 defense, which I don't believe, 360 yards of offense, and Geno Smith's 3-3. Detroit's an under team, which I don't believe, with an 18 defense, passing for 410 yards a game. Goff, though, they have figured him out. They blitz him. He's 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. What I don't believe is Seattle beat New England 23-20. And then they beat Miami without the quarterback last week, 24-3. That's why I doubt their defense. Okay, against New England and Miami without a quarterback, I don't believe they're a 14 defense. We will see after tomorrow if they're really a 14 defense. Detroit is an under team. Now, here's what's happening with Detroit. They've made that Jamel Williams, the fast guy from Alabama, their second receiver, which is a huge mistake. So when they get inside the red zone, he can't do anything because he's not a power guy. He's a speed guy, and you run out of end zone after 20 yards, right? There's nowhere. They don't need to guard you because you can't go anywhere. You're going to run out of the end zone. So there's an extra cushion for him. You throw him a short pass, what are they going to do? He can't break tackles. He's fast, but you got his 8-man zone he's got to go against. And they're going to beat the hell out of him. So that's why the red zone sucks, because he's a waste. He can't block. He's fast, but there's no room. And 4 interceptions by Goff. So we'll see this game. I don't know what to do with the game. My thought was over on it, but I don't know. I do not believe Seattle with the 14 defense. No, not without Coach Pete. Sorry. Now, if Richard Sherman plays, then I will believe it. But until then, I don't. It's a shame he's not playing anymore, or somebody like him. So I don't know. I don't buy Seattle as an A team. Okay, they haven't played the Rams. They haven't played the Niners. They haven't played Arizona. They played 2 shit AFC East teams. This is why you got to look at who they played, right? If they would have beat Baltimore and Buffalo and they're an A team, absolutely. But beating New England and Miami without Tagovailoa no, I don't have that. So you got to be very intuitive. Like, are these numbers real? They are real, but who did they play? And that's where I get into the high school teams, right? And college. Like, it's really not a good, somebody beating Tennessee Tech 71-0 does not mean they're a very explosive team. So that's it. So we got 5 locks out of this mess. We've got a couple other strong games. Free pick Baltimore over with Buffalo. Strong play, very strong play. It is with Indiana, my lock yesterday. So we got to get that percentage and the pick up for Cadillac there. We got to get that going. But as I get going, I'll run the table 3 or 4 times where I go 10-1, 12-0. That's pretty consistent. When I get this is pocket aces day in pros here. If I lose more than one game, I'll be absolutely shocked. But you never know. That's why I'm staying away from like Tennessee, Miami, Cleveland, Oakland. Maybe I'll play the Niner, New England. I haven't done that yet, and I stayed away from Jacksonville, Houston. Thoughts about Texas not covering the spread yesterday? Well, I'm shocked because Mississippi State gave up 60 points to Toledo. It just shows you conference play versus non-conference play is a whole different ball of wax. I mean, look at Ole Miss. They're scoring 60 points a game against high school teams. All right, they blew out Wake Forest. They didn't even blow out Wake Forest. They put up 40 on Wake. Then they go and they lose to Kentucky. Now all of a sudden you're rethinking Georgia beating them 13-12, going, maybe Georgia's, that was a good win now. So, when Ewers gets back, Manning, he's too new. They probably blitzed him a lot, figured what the hell. Now, how does that make you feel about old Mississippi State? That they kind of held them. And then the other thing is, do we got Oklahoma? Let's see who Texas has this week. Now that they're in the SEC and not the Big 12. All right, so this could explain it here. Texas, their next game, Oklahoma. There you go. It's a bye, so they don't play them till the 12th. But it's the same thing with Georgia. They beat Kentucky, but their next game after the bye was Alabama. Okay, where's their head at? And a revenge game. Here, Texas, their next game's Oklahoma. It's a bye, but they got Oklahoma. So it is important. Now, the problem with that is after that, it's Georgia. So Texas gets Oklahoma in a big rivalry, and then Georgia. And Georgia's the game's at Texas. Look for Georgia. I think they got a big wake-up call. Their offense did look good after the guy woke up. As Alex said, they're in the headlight. Well, the headlights finally went off, and then he started going off, and they started playing defense. I didn't like that last play game. The receivers got the ball. All the receiver has to do is come back for the ball, and he catches a touchdown, and he just kind of kept running and didn't really go for the ball, and the Alabama guy jumped for the ball, and where was the Georgia guy? Why didn't he jump for the ball? I mean, that's ridiculous. A good receiver would have caught that ball, and he definitely would have went after it. Jefferson, Chase, believe me, they'd have caught the ball. They would have went after it and caught it. They wouldn't have let the Alabama guy interfere. But when you watch the Georgia guy, he just kind of kept running and didn't even, it's not in my hands. I'm not going to catch it. So we got that. So you got Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, then nobody, Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas could give them a little bit. Kentucky, who knows now, and then A&M. So their big games are coming, Oklahoma and Georgia. They did kill Michigan. Very good. Let's just see who Georgia's got this week. I don't think you want to play Georgia this week. Georgia, Alabama, and they're at home to Auburn, who has a very good defense also. Auburn did lose to Oklahoma. I didn't like Oklahoma's quarterback. Oklahoma, pretty good defense. Peyton Thorne, what is he thinking? You've got a 21-17 lead over Oklahoma late in the game, and he throws a pick six. What are they doing? What the guy can't read a linebacker? He threw it right into the linebacker, and he took off, touchdown. So I hate losing like that. And I didn't play the game. I didn't know what to do with it. Again, Oklahoma with the new quarterback didn't look very good. Auburn went back to Peyton Thorne, and now you know why they benched him, because he sucks. From Michigan State, by the way. So that's what you got there. So I would say right now that I think your best team's Alabama, but they did show weakness. Georgia was able to light them up. So Texas, if Ewers is playing, can light them up. Texas beat them last year. Don't forget that. So Texas is comfortable playing Alabama. But Georgia didn't pass the ball well in the first half, which really hurt them. Big second half, but you got to play both halves against Alabama. Oregon, very sharp. Ohio State, They only got they only won 38-7 over Michigan State. That was another. I can't believe I didn't lock that game. The over under was only 47. I think we ended up going over 41. What was a joke? I mean, the score was 38-7 in the third quarter. I already had it won. I knew they put up a lot of points on State. I thought my score was 35-14, Ohio State, and they ended up 38-7. So it was pretty close. But that's another one that I think they're going to be really tough to beat. But they got Oregon coming up on the 12th also. So big day, Oklahoma, Texas, and you've got you've got the Ohio State Oregon game. So interesting games there. But I think Ohio State, Oregon, the winners should be one. Alabama is 1A, 1B. Milrose looks good. He's very shifty running the ball. So he's very, they did blitz him and they did hit him good a couple times, but he just kind of bounced back out of it. Hey, nothing. Sparty should have had 21 points in that game. I didn't see the game. I don't think it was on TV or it was on Peacock or something, I think. But yeah, well, I like the Oregon State coach. The Oregon State quarterback, Charles is young, but I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Michigan, especially after playing Ohio State. Michigan, their quarterback sucks. And now we see their defense is not Texas lit them up. USC kind of lit them up. I was expecting USC, what they did to Wisconsin, what they should have done to Michigan. I was shocked they didn't do that to Michigan. I saw a guy make a tackle in the secondary. I was shocked. So how the hell did they lose to Michigan was a joke, but off of the loss, they were down 21-10, and then they came on strong, which again, what's Riley doing in the first half that they're not scoring? So you have a lot of that where you're trying to really understand that, the thing with the new quarterbacks, you got to go 4 or 5 weeks. Okay, Miller Moss, okay, he's better at SC. Michigan State, Childs will be better facing Michigan in a few weeks. I think that's probably a big dog bet. Michigan, I don't know. Texas blew them out. USC put up 27, and Minnesota, all of it, it's 24-3, and I'm in the pool going, some guy asked me, Michigan's up 24-3. And I say the final 27-24. So I'm glad I laid away from that because I was going to take Michigan, but I don't like to lay 4. And I was going, I'll bet it under, no offense. And they scored on a block punt and a fumble return and stuff. So Michigan doesn't have an offense. But I got to see that. I got to watch the second half of that game because all of a sudden Minnesota with that quarterback throws for 3 touchdowns. They get 24 points. Maybe we found the key. So I think Michigan State will give Michigan a real good game. It was on Peacock. Yeah, I couldn't. What's the point of Peacock? Well, let me read you first. I know should haves and all that, but they blew some chances. Where were they? We're like inside the 5, like Illinois, and didn't score. So what's the point of Peacock? Do you expect us to buy? Do you expect everybody to go buy Peacock to watch that game? What, people in Ohio, they're going to, let's sign up for Peacock to watch this game? Are they kidding? Like, all it does is hurt them because you want the audience, right? That's why baseball was great. It was on the game of the week and, in the 60s and the 70s. And that's why the All-Star game was good because you never saw the National League in Detroit. All of a sudden, the All-Star game, hey, there's Willie Mays, Clemente, Hank Aaron. You never saw them. So that's really made the appeal. Now everything's on this streaming, and I haven't watched the Tiger game all year unless it's at the gym when I'm on my bike. I don't even know. I couldn't name you 5 players on the team. So why would I join Peacock? The Alabama Georgia game was on. I'm not going to waste my time with Ohio State. And why is that on ABC and not on Peacock or other streaming? Because they want people to watch it because the commercials. That's the whole point of TV, is charging a ton for the commercials. So what the fuck would you have it on Peacock for? Are people actually going to join Peacock? I'm not. Or Amazon with the Thursday night game. Yeah, I'm going to watch the Giants Dallas. I'm going to go get Amazon Prime. I don't know what they're thinking. It's really stupid. Yeah, it's about money. Amazon will pay them $1 billion to show it. I don't know what Amazon's thinking. You think people are actually going to join to watch the game? I'll have to research how much subscriptions are on Amazon or Peacock, but the Notre Dame game was on Peacock also. Yeah, I'm sure everybody ran to, let me join Peacock to get those games. But I guarantee you, Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State, Oregon will be on regular TV. I pay Major League Baseball TV subscription and have to still stream so many games on something else. Well, if you're a big baseball bettor, I can see. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, you're probably better off just going to a sports bar and watching the games there and getting a bowl of chili or something, getting a beer than getting the service. But I'll never pay for that shit. I mean, it's not worth it. There's enough games like yesterday, and then I can guess what? I can go on YouTube this morning and turn on Ohio State, Michigan State, the 20-minute recap, which is all I want to do because I don't have 3.5 hours to watch all these games. I pick one or two. Okay, I'm going to watch the Alabama Georgia game. Although I turned that off after 21-0, going, well, I think my under's fucked. Where are they getting all these points from? But I can just watch it for 20 minutes, and I will because I got to see the second half of that game. But that's all I want. I got 20 minutes to watch what happened, how's their quarterback, how's their defense, what the fuck happened in the game. I try to stay out of bars for reasons. Well, a sports bar, I mean. You don't have to drink there, but yeah. But I was watching the end of the Miami Virginia Tech game, and they didn't show the ending on YouTube. I did see the ending on something else. They fucked that call up. That was a touchdown, Virginia Tech. They would have won the game. The guy's sitting there. He's got the ball, and he's on the ground, lying on the ground. And then the Miami guy, like, rips it out of his hands 20 seconds later. I don't know why they called it incomplete. They didn't show it. It's funny. The last play of the game's coming, and YouTube switches to the end, and they don't. I couldn't believe it. They don't show the game. What the fuck? Because it was a clear fix. It was Virginia Tech had the ball. He had it in his hands. It wasn't on the ground. He was in bounds. He caught it. It's the second guy. He's got the ball. It's a touchdown. And what kind of shit's going on there? But it shows Virginia Tech is very strong, and it shows Miami. You know, these teams that win 60-0 against these weak teams, this is what I warn you about. Who did they beat? Now, here they go up against Virginia Tech. Not only did their defense was normal, but their offense wasn't it was okay. So they're an over team now. So we think Miami's an A team. And this is the thing with my stats. I'm zeroing them in against weak teams like Seattle today. They didn't play anybody. So let's see them against the Lions, who aren't really scoring either, but maybe I go under in the game. I still can't feel it like I feel the Buffalo-Baltimore game. And did you like how I felt the Iowa State-Houston game? I wasn't going to give it out for free. I was looking for the free game because I was going to get Cincinnati out. And then just when I got to it, I said, no. This game's going to be well under Houston because I've been betting Houston under. And I know Iowa State with the strong defense. And now this is the game. And it was 20-0. I was like, that's about what I thought. I thought that Houston would get shut out. because Iowa State's got a really good. If they played Iowa, it would be the same thing. But that's what you got to look at is, so now we see, wait, Ole Miss really isn't this. I mean, this is where the whole theory comes in. When a team, Miami, Mississippi, explosive team plays strong defense wins 9 times out of 9.5. It didn't win in the Alabama-Georgia game, but every other, look at Kentucky, held them down. They held Georgia down. Look what Georgia did last night. You can't fuck with the strong defenses. You've got to respect them and just understand the explosive team is not going to do all against the strong defense, because the strong defense is just it's like baseball. The good pitcher, Nolan Ryan, you ain't hitting the guy. I don't care who it is. Sandy Koufax struck out Mantle. I mean, you can't beat the pitcher. You can't beat the defense too. The strong defenses will always beat the strong offenses. That's why, like, some of these teams have both. Like the 84 49ers had the number one defense with Ronnie Lott and Hacksaw and Montana. And that's what they won. So let's go back and let's get our odds. It's 12:15. Let's see if anything's changed. Pitt 2.5, 40.5. That hasn't moved. Green Bay 2.5, 44.5. Yeah, there was a 3, but that's gone to 2.5. Houston 5.5, 44.5. Hasn't moved. Atlanta 2.5, 41.5. Hasn't moved. Let me refresh just to make sure. I do have. Sometimes you go on these pages and it still shows you let me go back again. Pitt 2.5, 40.5, right? Green Bay 2.5, 44.5, right? Okay. Houston 5.5, 44.5. All right. Atlanta 2.5, 41.5 to New Orleans. Chicago 3, 40.5 to LA. Philly 1 and 42.5 to Tampa. I'm busy. Some kid knocking on my door. Philly 1, 42.5. Cincinnati 4.5, 47 to Carolina. The JETS is 8 and 39.5. Arizona 3.5, 48.5. The Niners still 10.5 and 42. 41.5, 42. Cleveland 2.5, 37 to Oakland. KC 7.5, 41 to San Diego. Baltimore 2.5, 46 to Buffalo. Miami 2.5, 37 to Tennessee, and Detroit 3.5, 46. So the lines haven't changed, so I don't think there's any injuries. Give me 1 second. Let me see what this kid wants. Sorry, the kid had the wrong house. Nothing. Looked like a catch to me. Oh, it's definitely a catch. You probably want, yeah. He wanted my lock. I told the kid, well, $75 for the locks. He said he was looking for his friend, and I'm like, well, no friends here. Just me, and I don't know who the hell you are. I think it's the next house over. we got some loud neighbors. So new neighbors moved in next door on top. So it's bottom and top. Like I had somebody living on top of me. 4 Mexican guys, no offense. And they sit out on their patio, or they stand on their patio on their phones. Like, don't they have furniture in the house? Like, I'm here. I'm not outside doing this. So they'll start talking loud. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're supposed to shut the fuck up and go inside. I don't care if they talk on the phone, but they're loud. And they're out every night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock on their little balcony talking. I have a feeling they don't have any furniture because they're always, why are you outside on your patio? Nobody's outside on their patio. Anyway. So again, the numbers tell me what to do, but then I have to question the numbers. And that's really the key to what I do. Why did I lock Boise and Washington State? Because they both are balanced 500-yard offenses, right? They both have weak defenses. Washington gives up 30, and Washington State and Boise gives up 32. So I got strong offenses against strong defense. Now the question is, are they real? And then I pointed out Boise played Oregon 37-34, and Washington State did play Washington. So I said, yeah, these are probably real numbers. Had they just played high school teams, then I wouldn't have believed them. How Arizona beat Utah last night, I have no fucking idea, except for Cam Rising, of course, doesn't play. So I'm done with that game. When he's in the box score, then he'll play. Then we'll start betting, unless I see Rising playing. I've never seen a guy hurt his finger running into a Gatorade, and he's out for a month. I mean, this is insane. What did he do? And again, I blame him for not hitting the Gatorade with his left hand. You're being pushed into the Gatorade. So, do this. Stick your left hand out, not your right hand. I don't know what this guy is. So anyway, so let's look at some college from yesterday. So again, the Miami-Virginia Tech game, it shows you I have Miami as an A team with the 10 defense. Well, apparently they're not an A team. They've been playing shit teams. And this is a truer indication why, if you got good quarterbacks versus bad quarterbacks, which I always elaborate on, like today's game, Miami and Tennessee. What's that tomorrow night? You got Levis against Huntley. You got terrible quarterbacks. You had Daniel Jones and Prescott. You had terrible quarterbacks, and you had a 20-15 game. I mean, you couldn't even get – all the Giants got was 5 field goals. Micah Parsons is out now. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's out. I don't know how long. But, I mean, here's a total of 45.5. I circled the under. I didn't play it. Where are you going to get points from? You're not going to get points from Daniel Jones and that. That's why I go through the quarterbacks. So if we look at today's game, let's go back to here. You got Fields against Richardson. I mean, where are you going to get points from in this game against Pittsburgh's defense? You got Darnold against Willis. Now, if Darnold was playing Love, I would lock this game over. But I don't believe he's active, but it didn't say he's starting. And I think he's just there if they need him at the end. And I'm afraid because his knee is not ready. I don't like that he shouldn't be playing here. But again, Willis and Darnold. Darnold looks like a real quarterback now. Willis is not, but Love is. So if you had Darnold and Love, this would be an easy over at 44, but it would probably be 49. And that's what I'm watching. If this went to 46, 47, I'd go, oh, Love starting, but it didn't. Jacksonville, Houston, you got Lawrence and Stroud. Lawrence terrible. Stroud's he's okay against weak defenses, so he should win this game because Jacksonville's got a 28. New Orleans, Carr against Cousins. I don't like Cousins. Again, there's so few really good quarterbacks in the pros. That's why you see so many of these low scorers. Stafford against Caleb. I mean, Caleb's not going to beat anybody. How did they win? Who did they beat? I saw they had a win. I'm like shocked. Did they win last week? No, they lost to Indy. I know they lost. They lost to Houston, and I believe they lost week 1. Oh yeah, they beat Tennessee. Oh yeah, because they got all those punt returns and pick sixes. All right, so they have no offense. So again, how are the Bears with no offense going to cover 3? You can get the Rams in 9. That's the logic, right? Fields is, I mean, well, Fields isn't going to do shit either, but Caleb's not going to beat you by 10 points. The Rams don't have receivers. They didn't have them last week and beat the fucking 49ers. So here you got them. The Bears, decent defense. I don't know how good it is, but Stafford, they're still there. They need to win. They're 1-2. It's a big win for them. And against Caleb, they're I have the Rams -3. I can't believe that. I can live without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp because I have Tutu Atwell. I got some running and I got some defense, and I think they'll just blitz Caleb. But I don't see how Caleb beats somebody by 10. Philly, Tampa, Hurts against Baker. Hurts is getting okay, but you don't have receivers. Joe Burrow and Dalton. If Dalton plays like this against Oakland, then yeah, they got a quarterback. We know he's up there with Mahomes. Denver Jets, Knicks, who I think will be very good against Aaron Rodgers, who's a Hall of Famer. So you should get points there. Daniels and Kyler Murray. Looks like Daniels, okay, he had a good game against Cincinnati, who had to win. But I think Daniels and Murray, 2 good quarterbacks. Brissett against Purdy. Brissett's terrible. Purdy's okay. Cleveland, Deshaun Watson's terrible. Minshew's okay. I mean, so it's kind of weak quarterbacking there. Mahomes against Herbert, good matchup, but Herbert with the high ankle sprain. Mahomes is God. Josh Allen against Lamar. 2 good quarterbacks, although Lamar can't win a game. Tennessee, Miami, Levis against Skylar Thompson or against Huntley. There's no quarterbacking there. And then Seattle, Detroit, Geno Smith, who's okay. He's not that good. Goff is okay. He's not that good. He's not as good as they want you to believe because as soon as you blitz him, he folds. So when we get into the college, we're looking at quarterbacks also. So Rutgers looked pretty good against Washington. Washington missed 3 kicks, cost them the game. BC, their quarterback was out. Western Kentucky played him really good. Indiana, they're just very strong team. Maryland, decent quarterback, but not special. Michigan has no quarterback. You make them 10-point favorites, and they win by 3. Minnesota's quarterback's kind of weak. Nebraska's I liked. Purdue, Nebraska killed them. I didn't have enough info on Purdue to bet them. I would have bet Nebraska laying. If it was laying 7, it would have been locked Nebraska. But it was 10, so I had to watch. Now I see Purdue really does suck. Old Miss, Kentucky, I mean, what can you say? 637 yards for Old Miss, but you're sitting there, a 6 defense. Now the defense is pretty good, but Kentucky's with the 13 defense is real. They played Georgia, and they beat them. And Mississippi misses a kick at the end. I'm not going to go through every game. The Navy looked really good, beating UAB. The Army looked really good, beating Z Team Temple. Oak State, Kansas State. Kansas State dominated with defense. I knew they would. They are very strong at home, and they have a very strong defense. The quarterback's just a running type of quarterback. He can throw a little bit. Auburn, Oklahoma, both their quarterbacks suck. BYU, Baylor. BYU beat them again. I had the under in the game, and it went over. I was surprised. BYU scored like 30 points. I'm like, so Baylor was still shell-socked by by beating the Shell Shocked. I had trouble with my S's when I was a kid. So Baylor's not very good, but BYU is very strong defense. But now they maybe have a good offense. Iowa State, Houston, we talked about. Strong defenses there. Houston's quarterback sucks. Iowa State's is pretty good. Iowa State will give everybody trouble. Great coach. A&M and Arkansas, 20-17. I loved Arkansas in the game. Didn't play it, unfortunately. So I got to the point where I played so many games that I like Arkansas, but I played enough. You don't know what to do. Cincinnati, Texas Tech is exactly what I thought. I took Cincinnati because they had a 16 defense. Tech has a 33 defense, and it was like 44-41 or something. So definitely Sorsby's good for Cincinnati's showing they're a good team. Texas Tech, terrible defense. But Texas Tech has a good runner. So you just bet Texas Tech over. They're going to score 50 points, give up 50 a game. Colorado, UCF. Colorado played defense. UCF was struggling running. And then Colorado put up 48 on them. It was 48-21. Where did UCF's offense go? Jefferson looked terrible. Bobby would have liked that. And then Colorado had some defense. We got to keep an eye on that. James Madison put up another 63. They're for real. Their quarterback's very fast, very good options, like Kyler Murray, but I don't know if he can throw or not. Texas State, Sam Houston played a really strong over game. I didn't write in the scores yet, but that was a real strong over game. Let's see. Well, we saw the Vegas. We talked about Vegas, Fresno State, Mikey Keene. But if you get a good pass rush, you can neutralize Mikey Keene, like kind of what Michigan did. EMU blew out Kent, the Z team. Miami of Ohio barely beat UMass. That's why I don't like the under teams against the Z teams. Ohio beat Akron. I think they did cover. USC, big second half. Moss is looking better. Wisconsin, their quarterback looked okay a little bit, but it's not like Van Dyke. Louisville, Notre Dame. Love Louisville's quarterback, Shaw. Riley Leonard, had a big game. I think they had a lot of turnovers in the beginning or something. And Notre Dame had to wear green. What are they going to wear next week? Purple or silver? I love a team that has to motivate their players. They have to come out with new colors. Unbelievable. Yeah, we'll wear green. We'll wear blue next week and red the week after because we can't win unless we wear different colored jerseys. I don't know what the Liberty App State. I have to look at that score. Georgia Southern. That was a good dog against Georgia State. The rivalry. North Carolina Duke. The rivalry game. Duke pulled it out at the end, but North Carolina, again, the dog in the rivalry game. Bowling Green somehow loses to Old D. I'm just stunned. You play A&M and Penn State really close, and then you go in against the rough Old D and you lose. I mean, that was unbelievable. Clemson lit up Stanford pretty good. Ohio State, Michigan State we talked about. Ohio State's probably it's probably Ohio State, Alabama now, and Oregon, and Texas, and then Georgia's kind of 1A. Alex is right. I liked Rice, and he said, no, Charlotte's the play. I wouldn't bet on Rice, and Charlotte wins. Charlotte actually beat Rice. Rice must really suck. But I have them as an over team, but probably because they played a high school team. Illinois, Penn State, like I said, shocked by this. Although, really, both teams have a 13 defense, so really the score made sense. I just thought they'd get over 41, and I was wrong. Alabama, Georgia, we talked about. Memphis lit up Middle Tennessee. LSU lit up South Alabama. South Alabama is an explosive team, but you got to be careful coming out of class. SMU kills Florida State. Oogly boogly on a 90-yard interception for a touchdown. And boy, it's Florida State. But SMU put up 40 points on that defense. Wyoming beats Air Force, which was shocking. The Air Force doesn't have an offense. Boise, Washington State, both good quarterbacks. Great running back on Boise. He scored 4 touchdowns, had 200 yards. Arizona beats Utah without Cam, and then Oregon does beat UCLA. I don't know if they cover. They won by 20, so I think they cover. It was 25. So Yon or Oregon at UCLA, hard to do it. We'll start looking at next week's during the games. I'll start going through next week's lines. I update my stats. So my process today is to go on Yahoo, update all my college stats. Now in my mind, I know every game that happened, so I'm fully aware Rice lost to Charlotte, that there really should be a Z team, even though the stats will say it. So games like that, I'm fully aware what happened in the Miami game, what happened in the Kentucky game. And that's where I really this is the art of it. So the science is I can pull the teams and they got a 20 offense and a 10 defense and da-da-da-da-da. But really why I'm successful is that then I get to the art of it and going, no. Kentucky beat Ole Miss and Virginia Tech beat Miami as far as I'm concerned. And Arizona beat Utah and without Cam Rising. And so that sticks in your mind more than the stat. Yeah, this is the stat, but this happened. And so I remember that, or I take notes. I put notes in my spreadsheet, and then I go, okay. And I'm looking for matchups, just like the Indiana-Maryland game was ridiculous. Indiana's 7 over Maryland. As I said, they killed UCLA at UCLA. Now, we know UCLA is not good, but still, they went to UCLA and won 45-13. It's like, fuck. Then they blew out somebody else. And I'm telling you, look out for Indiana. Houston under, Vegas, Indiana is a very strong team. Don't fuck with them. You don't want it. They won, 48-24. We're laying 1. I mean, that was a joke. So you're finding the teams what they are, and then you go ahead, and it's an over team. It's an under. The Steelers, no quarterback, great defense, TJ Watt, no points in the game, right? That's the logic that you do. So Alabama, Georgia, I was fooled because of the great defenses. A 6 and a 9, and they play a 41-34 game or something. What the fuck was that? It's almost like their defenses didn't exist. So you have that. You make them on outs, and maybe Georgia can't handle a running type of quarterback. They struggled with Daniels 2 years ago in the SEC championship game, but they put up 80 points. And then they struggled with C.J. Stroud a little bit, although they did get that win. Although they didn't struggle with Duggan of TCU. So maybe they blitzed Milrose a lot yesterday, and sometimes they got to him, and sometimes he just shifted away. So I was surprised by that defense. They should have blitzed him more. I would have blitzed him all the time. So you keep that in. This is like Seattle against Detroit. I'm like, well, wait, they beat New England and Miami. They don't have a 14 defense. I'm not going to play this game under thinking that, but watching Detroit, they're not scoring either. So this could be an under game. It's 46.5. Probably is an under game. But I can't feel it, so I'm not going to play it. But the Baltimore-Buffalo game, if that doesn't go over 40, see, I got good quarterbacks, and I've seen Baltimore. Okay, they played a 50-something with Dallas, and Buffalo's destroying teams. So this is very much an over game. And so you try to watch them against good teams and ignore the bad teams. So I'm ignoring Seattle, New England, or Seattle, Miami. It never happened. It's not. It's an NFL team, maybe. Although I doubt after watching the Alabama game last week that they could beat Alabama or Ohio State or Oregon. I mean, they suck, Miami. And you got to keep an eye on the injuries. Quarterback's out. Okay. Like I say, in Green Bay, if Love plays, in Pittsburgh, if Russell Wilson plays, the whole dynamic of the team changes. And now you ignore the stats and you go, no. With Love, they're an over team. With Russell Wilson, I don't know because we haven't seen him play in Pittsburgh, but I'm sure they'll score a lot more than with Fields. Bo Nix should get better. So that's really what you're trying to. That's the art of it. You're really trying to dig in and go, okay, good quarterbacks, bad quarterback. So you're not going to score with bad quarterbacks, and you should score with good quarterbacks. That's why they're good quarterbacks. They can. That's why we bet Mahomes every fucking week because we know he's going to get the win for us. You throw Boza and James out, and it makes you're salivating now with Mahomes. Could probably beat him with them playing, but now without them, maybe it's an under if they play. And now, and it's like Max Crosby. Oakland's an under today. Not without Crosby. Now you're like, well, how's the backup doing? And the backup, he gets a chance to play. The biggest difference between college and pro is they're all pros in the pros. They're all drafted from, pretty good colleges. So even though you're the backup, you're still, look at Brock Purdy was third string and now he's a star. Look at Darnold, high draft pick, sucked, and now he's playing good. So you got to just realize, like Max Crosby's backup's probably pretty good. Devontae Adams backup, probably pretty good. So you got Philadelphia. They'll be able to throw the ball. They'll be able to get some yards. They'll hit the tight end, and they're going to run Saquon Barkley 75 times. So it's not like they can't. They'll hit the running backs more. They'll hit the tight ends more. I don't like the comment I heard about running backs where you got to have a good running back who can catch passes. No, you need a running back who can run. They totally disregard the red zone. You need a running back. Give me the Boise running back. Give me the Oklahoma State running back. There's a few others. Give me them because inside the 10, I need a running back who can score because there's no room to throw it. And especially if I have a Lamar or one of these bad throwing quarterbacks, I need a power runner. So Baltimore, I think, will be better now that they got Henry. They'll be able to score in the red zone. Their problem now is their defense is not any good, or there's injuries. I don't know. So again, this whole no preseason playing. Now we see week 4. Now this is the real team this week. Finally. So we had to fuck around for 3 weeks. Trying to figure out why Cincinnati sucks. The coach needs to go. The defensive coordinator needs to go. I don't know. If Cincinnati loses today, now I didn't bet Cincinnati to win today. If they don't win today, you just lost to New England, Washington, and Carolina. It's not going to get – your Baltimore's and Pittsburghs are coming up. And whoever else, you played Kansas City, but you got at least 4 real strong games, and whoever they probably have a pretty well. They didn't make the playoffs, so they have the easier schedule. So yeah, they better start playing Cincinnati. Burrow looked good last week. I expect him to light up Carolina anyway. It's what will Dalton do? But he's got revenge because he used to be the Cincinnati quarterback. They let him go. I don't know if they let him go for Burrow or not, but so he's going to have a little bit of spite. Like, okay, I'll show you guys. You let me go. You let me go for Burrow. Are you out of your minds? So he's a good quarterback. He showed you last week against fucking Oakland, right? So we got to keep our eye on Daniels and Nix. So you're looking at the quarterbacks going, there ain't no way that Caleb is going to beat Stafford. There's no fucking way. That's really how you pick the game. You're looking at the quarterback going, Caleb can't hit the broadside of a barn. And Stafford just showed you last week they were down. They beat San Francisco without Cooper Kupp and without Puka. They still found a way with Tutu Atwell and whoever the fuck else they pulled out of the crowd. And they got a great coach, McVay. He will figure out a way. And as long as Stafford's the key, the quarterback's the key. As long as he's playing, as long as Burrow's playing, I can live with T. Higgins being out, but I can't live with Burrow being out. So that's the key. Mahomes, if Mahomes don't play, you're fucked, but he does. So let's see. The last minute, what are the Sharps doing? I love it, the Sharps. Give me a break. All right. Pitt, 2.5, 41, 40.5, nothing. Green Bay, 2.5, 44.5. That tells me that Love is not starting, which is what I believe. Houston, 5.5, 44.5. Same. Atlanta, 2.5, 42.5. This should be a good game. The Bears, 340.5. How are they favored, and how are people not making this 2.5? This could be one of those that stays at 3, and it won't move to LA even. Philly 142.5. Can anybody explain that spread to me? I get maybe 3 in the beginning, but you got both receivers out and they're still favored. Wow, I don't get that. Cincinnati 5.5, 46.5. So a little bit of money going on Cincinnati. There's 4.5s and 5.5s. The JETSs 8 and 39.5. That's what they're at. That hasn't moved. Arizona 3.5, 48.5. It was 49, 3.5. That stayed. The Niners 10.5, 42. That's up from 41.5. People betting that game over got to be out of their minds. New England's not going to give you any points in this game. Cleveland 2.5, 37 to Oakland, up from 36.5. KC 7.5, 41 to San Diego. That's about. I have 7.5, 41.5. Our game, Baltimore 2.5, 46 to Buffalo. That's where it was 46.5, 40. There's a 46.5 and 46s. Miami 2.5, 37. I don't understand that line. And Detroit 3.5, 46.5. See, my gut says take the Detroit game over 40. But they haven't gone over. They went over week 1. They didn't go over week 2, and they didn't go over week 3, and they're struggling scoring. And I think Seattle will blitz the hell out of Goff because they know that's how you beat him. He throws interceptions. They've got terrible problems in the red zone because of that Williams guy. So I'm not confident. And Detroit seems to be, if they take a lead, they just run the ball in the second half and play defense. And then Hutchinson can sack the quarterback. But Seattle beats them every year and lights them up every year. Last year, they didn't even punt. So it's a very confusing play for me there. Anyway, so we'll start looking at next week's college. And I'll update during the pros. I'll go to the pool during the pros. I don't mind. I usually like watching the second game. Buffalo-Baltimore is tonight. I don't know what the second game will be. New England, San Francisco. The first game, probably want to watch mini Green Bay. That's probably the best early game. Philly, Tampa. Not good TV. Anyway, so we talk a little gold. Again, it's 26.58. It's amazing. I'm watching these little YouTube channels, and I think they just are on to get. So when you see somebody say subscribe and like, have you ever heard me say that? When you see people say it, they're just fishing for money because I guess you get money based on how many subscribers or based on how many likes or whatever the fuck. I'll never say it because if you're free to do what you want. This is freedom here. You want to subscribe, subscribe. If you want to like it, like it. If you don't want to, don't. It's your option. I'm just going to provide you good information. So, Bricks October 22nd will definitely make the gold. See, what it is it makes the gold demand higher. But what most people don't understand is gold is simply a paper price, not a real price. So that's why they go, well, it's going to go down based on what? Lack of demand, people selling. Whenever you hear somebody say it's down because of profit taking or selling or consolidation, they got their heads up their ass. They don't know what they're talking about. Gold goes down because of the derivative. They go up because of the derivative. As I said, it's not free market. At least football is pretty much free market here. Phillies won over Tampa is what the public is betting. If they all started betting Tampa, Tampa would be a favorite. If they all started betting Philly, they'd be 2-3 point favorites. That's how the line moves. That's free market, not government saying the price of gold, and they're trying to keep it there, but there's too much demand for it. But if you understand economics, as I teach it, it's the demand, it's supply, it's the demand. You watch me because you demand that what I know in economics or football, you like that, so you watch it, right? So it's the free market. If nobody watched it, then okay, I get it. But because I have an audience, people like it, so that's what I do. But in free markets, we don't have in gold and silver. So you got to understand it. You got to understand it's derivatives, it's options. It's not free market. So understand that part of it. And then if you do that, and then you realize the demand for gold, first you realize gold's limited. It's very, very limited. And then you realize the demand's been around since the Romans, that obviously people like gold. And gold buys what it buys. I don't know what they did in the Roman Empire, what it was worth. And as it went on into the 15, 16, 1700s, I know Columbus came here looking for gold. That's why he came here. Don't kid yourself. They all want gold. So gold was important to Spain in 1492. So it's always been important. And now here we're trying to control the price, but we can't. And then we're printing the dollar to death, which nobody seems to understand that. I got $1 million. Luke's friend, I got $4 million in an IRA. Great, but it's worthless. It's lost 99% of its value, and in my mind, 100. So you're holding paper that's worthless. Even though you have 1 million of them or 2 million of them, they're not worth anything. So if they're not worth anything, that's the problem, right? So you want to have things with value. So go buy a Rolex or a Mantle card or gold and silver. But gold and silver are better because they're money. So I know I can go to the restaurant tonight. If I want to go to barbecue, give him an ounce of silver and pay for my meal, and he'll take it. But the problem is the silver is worth a whole lot more than $35. I know that, and you know that, and we're waiting for that price discovery to get to where it should go. Right now, the manipulation's keeping it down. But why would I give up an ounce of silver for $35? That'll be worth $1,000. So that's what's in, and I might need it later. I don't. I can still use my debit card on this now. So that's really what it's about. It's the demand for gold keeps the price, but because it's derivatives and paper and options, and it's not real free market, the market should determine the price. Like I say, my Canadian club, the market says, I'll give you $50 for this. And then you sell it to them. And then you put $70 and then they buy it. Okay, the market's saying they'll pay $70 for it. But if you don't do that, if you don't allow the market, you don't really know the price. So the price of silver and gold, you really don't know what it is because the market isn't involved in pricing it. The free market, us. But I'm saying it's worth a lot more because the demand for the gold and silver are much higher, forcing the price up. So when you got every central bank buying 400-ounce bricks of gold, that tells me there's big demand and every central bank's buying it as much as they can. And BRICS and Russia and China and Saudi Arabia. And so when you see that huge demand, the price isn't right and it's being manipulated down. So every time it goes up $75, $100 a week, we're riding on we're on the right side of it, right? It's a great investment, even though people won't call it an investment because they don't understand the price fix of it. If you just let gold be free market, it would be a great investment. It would be better than anything else, stocks or bonds. But because of because it's derivative and it's fixed, or it's about to be blown away from the fixes. The fixes are going away. That's why we're so excited. But when it's fixed, you go, well, gold doesn't move. Not because gold isn't valuable, not that it's not an investment. It's because it's price fixed. And it's amazing how few of these people that talk about it don't understand it's price fixed. Or they don't think that they'll think it's always going to be price fixed. It'll never not be price fixed. And that's where our ace in the hole is BRICS. Yeah, they're gonna unprice fix it. And that's when gold goes through the roof. And that's why it's moving now. It's because the demand is there. COMEX is set up as a pricing mechanism, not as a storage mechanism. So there's really not a lot of gold and silver in COMEX. However, if you want to buy it, you got to go to COMEX. We go to the coin store. We go to SD Bullion and we go on eBay and we can buy and sell the gold that way. We go around COMEX, but I imagine they go to COMEX to buy my guy some guy, Joe Blow, walks in, here's 5 ounces of gold, and then he puts it out and sells it, and I buy 5 ounces that way. He makes $100 because he buys it at spot and sells it to me with this premium, which is fine because where else am I going to get it from? Now, I can compete with SD Bullion, but he's better, and I can compete with eBay, but he's better because they mark it up a little on eBay because of the commission for the auction. So that's what he does there. But so you go to a guy, I know the gold's real. I never worry about that from him because I know he checks it. And that's it. And we wait for the ride. So it's very much an investment at this point. And we don't care. Like Mark McGuire's guy yesterday was all about interest rates and CPI. To an Austrian economist like us, we don't give a shit. We don't care what prices are because that's not what inflation is. Inflation is printing the money and the value of the money drops. You've inflated the money supply is the inflation. And then it makes it worth less, just like a 50 count Mahone card versus a 5 million count Mahone card. Obviously, the 50 count is going to be worth more than the 5 million count. And that's what's going on. So we understand that inflation's printing the money. That's why it's never going down. How can it go down? You didn't burn $150 million. That's how the Germans destroyed, or the British destroyed France in 1795. They printed a bunch of French francs and put them into Paris and flooded them, and they became worthless. So why did they do that? Well, because they knew if they put increased supply, the value would go down, which is what they did. And that's the point of it. So that's really what you're looking at, and that's what we've got here. But they won't admit it. So they're going to blame Putin, and everybody's de-dollarizing because nobody wants it. And Trump knows he's fucked, so he's doing sanctions, which is not going to do anything. That's what's going to make it go down anyway. And that's the whole point of it. So you're really fucked with it there. I mean, but that's economics. It's do people want what you have? I mean, that's about as simple a way as I can explain economics. Is the economy is about free market, and you sell things in the economy based on people wanting to buy them. right? I have a class. Do you want to watch it? Right? I have Canadian Club. Did somebody want to buy it? Or I bought it at the grocery store. I go and I get pita bread, or I get avocados, or I got my salt, the Celtic salt. It's at the market. Does somebody want it? Yes, I want it. Now there's a doctor saying how good it is. It's got 82 minerals. Go, oh, I'll buy it and I'll try it. But that's what it is. It's certain things are at certain prices. This is $10 for a Bellagio mug versus $30 for a $1,000 silver ounce. Gold's now it's 2,800. If I wanted to buy it, it's 2,660. But I think if I went to my guy's store on eBay, it's like 28. On my guy's store, I probably can get it for, my guess would be about 2,800, 2,780. Maybe I think the Maple Leaf and the Cougar I could probably get 2,775 or something like that. But is there demand for my item? And then you set the price, and then people see it, and then that's where competition comes. Oh, I can make that and sell it for that price, and I can make 20%. Because it's a free market. You can be a buyer, you can be a seller of whatever you want. That's the simplest way of talking economics. And then if prices go up, it's all in the market. I mean, either there's a lot of demand for gold and making the price go up, or what's happening now is the dollar has no value. So the dollar is really losing value, which then it makes more dollars to buy the same orange juice, which looks like the price is going up, but it's really the value of the dollar dropping. So that's why we don't care about the CPI. So the CPI is trying to measure the price difference to say, oh, look how the dollar is deteriorating. Well, that doesn't work. They don't use everything. And like I said, you can't really get a good value on price because look at silver is being manipulated. The real price is $1,000, but it's 30 because they do derivatives on it. Well, you can't tell inflation based on prices if the prices aren't real. Nothing. Competition breeds excellence. Well, what competition does is you've got Canadian Club, you've got Doers, you've got Black Label, you've got a bunch of different whiskeys, Crown Royal. So if I'm going to compete with Canadian Club, I got to come out with my whiskey's got to taste better, and my price has to be cheaper for you to try it. So that's what competition does. It improves the quality of the other good, tires, cars, Bellagio cups, whatever it is. Even in football and baseball, it's all the competition. So when you look at today's game, well, look at, there's Mahomes. And the only one that can compete with him is maybe Joe Burrow, Josh Allen sometimes. And then you look at, like Caleb, and you look at, let's see, Brissett, Watson, Minshew. You look at those, they can't compete with those. And that's where you get different teams. They can't compete. Michigan State could not compete with Ohio State yesterday. Alabama and Georgia got to a close game, although Alabama got way ahead. But that's what it's all about. That's what sports is about. That's what betting's about. Basically, what you're saying is, can Buffalo and Baltimore, can Buffalo compete with Baltimore and vice versa? That's what you're looking at. Can they compete? Are they going to be competitive? And what will make the keys? Oh, the quarterbacks are keys to be competitive. The defenses are keys. The coaches are keys. And that's why I look at the defense and I go, well, Baltimore's got a 26 defense. It's not competitive with Buffalo, but we know Baltimore will score. And so you're looking at facets to prove the theorem of the competition. What do you think will happen in the game that will make it high scoring, low scoring? And you try to tweak it, as I said, like Seattle. Wait a minute, they look like a low scoring team, but wait, look who they played. Teams with no offenses, New England, Miami. Let's see what they do against Detroit. So you're kind of you're trying to get the competitiveness of the game to figure out what will happen. Because what we're doing, we're betting on the game based on what that is. We're betting on this. We think this is very undervalued. And then we go, it's limited, it's highly demanded, it's money. And as the dollar goes out, we need money. And then we go and we say, well, wait a minute, it's not priced right. See, we ask the question, oh, $30 is not priced right. Most people just see the 30 and go, it's not worth anything. I won't invest in it. That's the mind fuck that the government's trying to do to you. They're trying to keep the price down so you don't think it has a value. In reality, it's got a huge value, not only in the Tomahawk missiles and the solar panels, also as money. So it's a double header for silver. Gold's too expensive. You can probably use gold in solar panels, but it's too expensive. And gold's money. So the smart guy's going, I got to get out of this money because it's not worth anything. And why? Because they're printing it, not because of prices. So they're trying to get you into prices are the reason the dollars, nobody wants it. And it's the printing of the dollar that makes it has no value. That's the real key to it, right? There is no value in the dollar because they printed it. And if they print a lot of it, it has no value, which is exactly what's happening. They're printing and printing and printing. Therefore, it has no value. Therefore, why do I want to hold it? It's like, why do I want to bet on the Bears? I want to bet on Kansas City because they're the best team. So that's what you're looking at. Who's the best? What's the best value? So when you make your money, as I did yesterday, so you make $100, your bills are 50, you got 50 to invest in. Where do you invest? You've got competition. Stock market. Well, there's competition in the stock market. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, the gold stocks, the silver stock, Coca-Cola, Disney, da, 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 da. And all these companies are laying off their employees, which is a sign of recession because they won't be able to, they're the buyers, right? The people that go to work to make the money are the ones that do the buying. But if they're not working, they don't have money to buy, right? All of a sudden they get a big pay cut. They got to pay rent. What happens? They sell their stocks. They sell their whatever their assets are, their mantle cards. They sell all of it because they're not working, but they still need money to pay rent and food and stuff like that. And that's the whole point of it. It's a whole domino effect. If they're working, everybody has extra money and they go buy, they go on trips, they go get steaks, they eat in nice restaurants. But when they're not working, well, we're eating at McDonald's or we're just going to the grocery store and I'm buying hamburger and we're eating that for a while. So that's what happens. So you got to understand the whole picture, right? So people need money. That's why the stock market's going to crash because it's not just the U.S. people. It's the UK people, the Germans, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Russians, the African, everybody who's in the U.S. stock market, because they're all under the belief that the U.S. is this great dollar because they believe it's the reserve currency that it has a value. The reserve currency is the trade currency, and they forced everybody to use the dollar to buy oil. But again, that was a monopoly, and that was you're forced to. That's the government dictating. Now it's gone to free market. Now it's, you don't need dollars to buy oil. You can use yen or yuan or gold, specifically gold they want. So you have that. That's the whole point of it. So if you have that, you now you got competition, and the U.S. can't handle competition because they bully people around, and they printed $150 trillion. And now their debt's 36 trillion. Well, who's comfortable with that? How is that not going to destroy your money? And then every 90 days, it's a $1 trillion payment. Where are they getting that money from? Thin air. They're just printing it. Well, there you go. The value's the dollar more. It's pretty close to being worth zero. I just assume it's zero. All right, it's 99, but to me, it's 100% gone. But I can still go to the grocery store and pay rent with it and things like that, and I can still go buy gold with it. You're going to see where you're going to have a hard time buying gold, and they're not going to take dollars for it. That's coming. Not yet, but it's coming. So we'll see. When I travel, I'll be in Italy. I'll walk around there and check the gold stores if they have any. I assume where I'm going they will, but we'll see what they do with it. But again, we're just waiting for it to go higher and higher and higher because the demand is there. There's no profit taking. There's no consolidation. It's buy as much as you can at this cheap price, realizing mostly that you have to get. So the other countries realize they got to get out of the dollar. So they're selling their dollar because they realize it's inflated. It's almost valueless. And the only lifeboat is gold. And that's what we're doing. We're getting out of the dollar because we know the only lifeboat's gold and silver. That's why I bring up Titanic, because it's a very good similarity. The water's coming in. You got to get off the boat. Where's your lifeboat? And the same thing here. The dollar's collapsed. You got to get out of the dollar. Where do you go? Well, you go to gold and silver because they're money. Now, gold's been cheap. It's still cheap. Even though it'll cost you $27.75 or so for it, it's still cheap. At 7 o'clock tonight, China comes back on, and they start the week because they're 12 hours ahead of us, and it'll probably go up. But yeah, but nothing. I mean, that's the thing. Problem with sports, competition brings excellence, and yet there's no baseball. It's terrible. It's all minor league. Look what the Tigers are doing. They have no pitching and they have no hitting, and they're winning because the teams they play are so bad because they're all minor league that they're making the Tigers look better than they are because there is very few major league pitchers and major league hitters in the sport now. It's all minor league. Same thing in college football. You do have your elites, your Ohio States, Oklahoma, or Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Missouri. You have those teams. And in regular football, you have Kansas City. Maybe you have New Orleans is getting there. Minnesota, Green Bay look a lot better. Philadelphia, we're not sure. Cincinnati, we don't know what's going on with them. San Francisco, Buffalo, and Baltimore. So you've got your few good teams, and you got a whole lot of shit teams. And that's really the problem. They call it parity. In other words, it sucks. It's terrible, but they'll call it parity. Oh, it's parity. Anybody can win because everybody sucks. That's why everybody loves the 60s Packers and the 70s Steelers and somewhat of the 70 Raiders because they were excellent teams and everybody liked them. And then Montana comes, and then Jimmy Johnson comes, and then Brady comes. Brady isn't that great because he didn't really have a lot of competition. Look at the Super Bowls. You beat Carolina. It was a joke. They beat nobody. And when they'd struggle, it's because the AFC had Baltimore and Pittsburgh that he would lose to. But generally, it was very, very weak. And it was just a fluke that Brady was a 7th-round pick who really was not that good at Michigan, and he turned out why he didn't play that way in Michigan. I have no idea. Didn't practice that way. I'm sure the coach would have started going, we got Tom Brady. It's like Indiana had Larry Bird, but obviously he didn't play Larry Bird. So he went to Indiana State. But if he would have been Larry Bird at Indiana, he probably wouldn't have left. But Bobby Knight doesn't look at you like that. He, looks at you. But that's what this whole thing is about. So you're buying gold because it's really the monopoly. The dollar cannot compete with gold. That's why they keep the price down to say, oh, look. But if you notice, they never price the dollar. You don't know what the dollar is. So they come up with this bullshit price index to say, well, this is the prices, I guess, to try to value the dollar, which, you're saying gold's $26.58. You're saying silver's $32. What's the dollar? Why is everything priced in dollars? See, that's what's going to change. Things won't be priced in dollars anymore. Things will be priced in gold and silver or in BRICS currency. And that's what's going to happen. So we're all way ahead of that, right? We're always 5 steps ahead. Just like we are in football, same thing there. So that's really what we have. That's what's going on. That's why you buy the gold and silver, because there's no competition. It's the lifeboat, and because the dollar's worthless. Most people don't understand that concept. How can it be worthless? It's the reserve currency, because it's not backed by anything. It's just toilet paper. And if it's not backed by anything, how can it have a value? So, you put a 10 on it, you put 100 on it, it's worth 100. Well, is it worth 100? Not really. It's not worth 100. It's worth $1. It's lost 99% of its value, so it's worth $1. Even though it says 100 on it, that's the scam. You see 100, you think, oh, but what can 100 buy? I went and got salmon yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day, maybe Friday. I got salmon. I got some little jar of fish that I like, and some fruit, and it was like $50. Oh, and I got some chicken. It was like $50. I didn't get anything. I got 5 things. The chicken I got on sale for $5 for the leg quarters, and the salmon was on sale for $10. And I got 1.5 pounds of it, and it was like $17 for fucking salmon. I mean, on Leave It to Beaver, it would probably only be a dollar or two. So that's the point. So it's really not prices going up. It's their cost to get the fish. The gas price is higher. They got to pay the people. The medical costs are up because they're not free market anymore. That's why the more the government touches, the worse it gets, because you take the competition and free market out of it. That's why schools are terrible, and most things that are run by the government are horrible because there's no competition. So they never look at the mail. They never get better. Look at the phone company. They used to have Bell. Everybody had the landlines. Then all of a sudden, some phone companies come in and they go, oh, no, here's you can hold it in your hand and you can take it with you. That's what happened. Oh, quick story. So I'm going to the gym yesterday in the training, and I want to check the weather in the Indiana game. So I got my phone, and it drops on the floor, on the parking lot, on the ground, but it's not in a puddle. It's just wet. And all of a sudden it says, you don't have a SIM card. There's no SIM card in the phone. I go, fuck, what am I going to do? So I go to this phone repair shop on the way home, and the SIM card's located right there. Okay. You see that above the dot, that little section is where the SIM card. So what happened is when it fell, this part opened up. So the SIM card connection got lost. So I go to the guy, and all he does is just push it back in. And all of a sudden I got my internet again and my phone. I couldn't make phone calls or internet. I couldn't check my scores. So again, it's right here on the side, because you can't open the phone, but there is SIM card. This is, I guess, headset. And over here is volume, and then turn it on and turn it off. And I think, volume and stuff. So I got lucky. It didn't cost me a dime. I even offered to pay him. He said, no, no, no. So it was a 2-second, but his skill set was the SIM card door is open. We just need to close it. And then everything was working. Now I know. Now I share with you. So now you know. I've dropped phone 20 times, mostly in here on the carpet, but I've dropped the phone. And there's a difference between putting it in water and getting it wet. That will work if you put it in ice. However, I don't know how if you can even open the phone anymore. Um, there's really I guess there's a little slot here in the front, but really, like I dropped my phone in a hot tub in Romania, and I took out the battery, put it in rice, and it worked. I don't know how you can do it now, but basically that's what happened. So I lost the SIM card. I lost the my internet and my phone basically. But fortunately, I was able to get it fixed, and that was good. And I'm a happy camper. But it's just little things like that. I've dropped the phone a dozen times, and nothing ever happens to it. All right, let's go watch some football. I can see people are leaving for the football. But anyway, have a good day. Good luck. Good luck on the locks. 5 locks. Again, classes. Friday night, 7 to 8. College football. I went through all 4 of my locks and all my picks and my Indiana and my Cincinnati, and all those you'd get in the class, $25. Friday night at 8 would be the NFL class, so you would have gotten my 5 locks today. And whatever other picks I've had, I do give you the free pick, the Baltimore Buffalo over, and the Iowa State Houston under, which Iowa State won. Hopefully the Buffalo wins. And that's where we're at. So again, you can buy my picks straight right at teaserking.com, or you can join the class where it's basically the same thing. But I can see if you don't have time. That's fine. If you don't have time for the classes, then just buy the picks. I just made it either way. I appreciate you guys watching the class and getting involved, and I enjoyed that I can help you. Yeah, I'm a pretty deep thinker, and a lot of it's art and science, which a lot of people can't do the art part. And you're figuring out how to bet these games. And I was 3-1 in my locks yesterday. I figured out Indiana, and I figured out Louisville, and I figured out the Boise over. So shouldn't have lost the LSU South Alabama over, but I did. So that was out of scope. I should have locked Cincinnati, but oh well. But that's what's going on. So I will update the college, and then time to get into watch some football and start looking at week 6 of college football. I think I need to go to the library and print out some more weeks. I got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm going to have to print it out. And then I might as well print out some more pros, which I have 1, 2, 3. The difference with pros is I can put it all on 1 week. College, I can't. College is so many games, I got to go out 2 weeks. But I think I'll go to the library tomorrow and print them out. I don't have a printer anymore. I used to, but not anymore. All right. Okay, everybody. Good luck. I hope you make a lot of money today. www.teaserking.com. Again, if you want the classes, Real D is going to sign up for a theory of how to pick the football. It's quite interesting. You'll learn a lot. And it's my experience since the 1970s to now. So it's 70 years. Like, no, I'm not that old. 70s, that's 30. It's 50 years. Jesus. And I love every minute of it. Always do what you love, and then it's not a job. And that's what I do. Anyway, good luck today. www.teaserking.com. Tomorrow we will go through the results of these 2 days, and we'll look ahead at at least college ball for next week. Pros will do Tuesday because of the 2 Monday night games, and we will go from there. So again, buy your gold and silver because you must get out of dollars because they have printed them too much to death. There's too many of them, and that's basically what the inflation is. It's you've overprinted, which hurts the value. Basically, the value goes down. Nobody wants it because there's too many. I mean, if you made a million of these and they're just sitting at the table and you got them priced at $10, you're not going to get a million buyers. You start lowering the price to $5, to $2. I already got, I don't want. And then it ends up where no, you're just giving away the mugs because you've printed too many. Nobody wants them. And that's the dollar. That's de-dollarization. Nobody wants them. They have no more value. But people don't quite understand that yet. All right. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. All right. Thanks very much.